Okay, well, let's kind of start, and then if any more people roll in, they can. So please, this is the most up-to-date version of the class that I have so far, 15 names. Please sign against your name, and if your name isn't there, write your name at the bottom and then speak to me during the break, because obviously that means there's some problem or something. Does everyone now have the syllabus either from Monday or I just gave a few out here? Were you here on Monday? Or no, you weren't. Okay, I thought I recognized you. Okay. Búrún. Okay, very briefly, I will talk about the syllabus again, but not in as much detail as I did on Monday. And those of you who were not here on Monday, please ask questions if there's something you don't understand. And those of you who were here on Monday, you can ask questions if there's something you don't understand as well, but you've had more time to think about it. And we've got the online version here, which you can refer to if you lose the syllabus or something like that. Okay, the first page we can skip for this time. It's just a kind of general background to why we study history and why we study Hijv 102 and things like that. We won't spend time on that page, so you can read that at your leisure this evening. The second page, turn over the page, is information page, how to contact me and so on, details of our class, etc. I should remind you, warn you, whatever it would be, that because I am also director of Bill Kent University Library, I'm not in my history department office so often, and I'm often busy with meetings or something in the library, so I'm not as easy as I used to be to reach and to contact. The best thing is to send me an email if you have a problem, because I check my email as often as I can, even in the evenings. I'm a sad kind of person that spends their time reading emails in the evenings and whatever. So if you've got a problem with the course, if you need to contact me about something to do with the course or about your own personal problems, whatever it might be, an email is perhaps the best way. But we're meeting 3 times a week, so you can chat in class and so on. And then we have the reference here to the textbook, which is not something you need to go and buy. Okay, if you don't have a copy already, we have copies in the reserve room in the library. We'll say a bit more about the procedure in a minute when we begin topic 1. So, because we won't be using it so much, but we'll use it as a reference for topics 1 and 2. And our third topic, we will not use the textbook at all. Okay, it's not relevant to that topic as such. Okay, any questions yet? All clear? Okay, very briefly then, we turn over the page, and this is what I've put on the web as well. We are going to be studying 3 topics. I normally do 4 in a Hijv course, 15 semester Hijv course, but we'll squeeze it down to 3 for summer school. We'll do a few extra things to fill out our time because we can't cover 4 so much. And here they all are. In a few minutes, we shall begin thinking about our first topic, which I've called Leviathan, the Age of Absolutism and Revolution. And then in a couple of weeks' time, after a little test and so on, we'll move on to looking at the Industrial Revolution and then monotheism, okay, are the topics. So again, I'll briefly mention these as we go along. I won't say much about the first topic because we're going to look at it in detail soon, but this is to do with politics primarily in the 17th and 18th centuries, political developments in Western Europe, changes in government, revolutions and so on, the kind of way that people organized kingship and whatever, and then we'll look at people's ideas about politics and how they may have been affected or in themselves affected the events of the time and so on. Then, in our second topic, we'll look at the Industrial Revolution, okay, Capital, the age of industry and reform, and we'll look at this big economic and financial change, beginning in this case in Britain, but expanding elsewhere as well, and we'll look at some important writers from that time. Economic writers, political writers, but also a scientific writer. We talked briefly the other day about why we do that, and I'll explain that again later on. And finally, the final topic, as we've reached the top of the hill and we start to come down the hill towards the end of the course, and you're all looking forward to escaping to the Mediterranean somewhere in August or whatever, we'll be looking in that topic at new monotheistic religions, religions which have appeared in the past 500 years or so, and which we can describe as monotheistic. What does monotheism mean? I didn't ask that question last time. Make sure we know that. What is monotheism? Yes, belief that there is one God. Okay. Traditionally, for most of human history and prehistory, people, if they've been religious, have believed in many gods. Okay. But gradually, over the past kind of 1,500 years or so, the idea that in fact there's only one God has become prevalent. Okay. And obviously, in Turkey, Islam is the most dominant form of monotheistic belief. What we'll be looking at here, because it's Hijr 102, and therefore it's modern history, is a number of new religions which have appeared more recently, later than Christianity and Islam, which in different ways we can describe as monotheistic. They also believe in one God, but it's not the Islamic God, it's not the Christian God, it's not the Jewish God, but it's connected to those in some ways. So Sikhism, Baha'i faith, Mormonism, and even the Rastafarian movement, as we've called it there. Okay. So all of this information is listed here, more or less the same details. And then finally, on the back page, as I always say, the nasty stuff, the things you will be doing for me, the things that will help you to get your points and get your high grade, I hope, at the end of the course, listed here, course requirements and assessment. Firstly, you will be writing for me 2 essays, 2 written papers. Okay, we've got 3 topics, and you will be writing an essay for 2 of those. Okay. At the end of today's 2 hours, for about 20 minutes or so, I will talk to you a little bit about how to write an essay for David Hodger. Okay, how to do it for me, because I realise that instructors have different requirements, different styles, so it's good to give you an idea right at the start of what I want. And then if you've got any problems, if you've got something you don't understand, you can talk to me later on. So I've got a little handout. We'll go through that. I'll talk about that. Hopefully you'll ask me some questions if you don't understand. And then if we have 3 or 4 minutes after that, I shall sing you a song with my guitar and explain why I'm doing that strange thing. It's connected to this topic in some way. Okay, so 2 papers, 2 written papers, 2 essays. You will also be submitting those papers to the database called Turnitin, which is a way of detecting plagiarism. And we'll talk a little bit more about plagiarism today or maybe on Friday, okay, and what that involves and so on. Secondly, all of you will give a presentation, an oral presentation. You'll be standing up here in front of the rest of the class, maybe with 1 other person. I think we'll do it in groups of 2 because we've got at the moment 15 people, so we can manage it that way. Our friend Emre will not be filming you at that point. They're filming me, but they're not going to film you, so you don't have that added pressure. And I will work with all of you, your little groups, in advance to help you prepare your presentations and so on. Okay, we'll talk about that a bit more later and on Friday, I hope. In addition, for each topic, for all of the 3 topics that we're doing, you will also do something which I'm calling an in-class comprehension test. Comprehension means what? Anyone tell me what that word means? Give me another English word for to comprehend. It's a good idea we know what it's about before we do it, otherwise you might do the wrong thing. To comprehend means, anyone? You're all very shy today. Is it the camera that's scaring everyone? I don't know. To means to understand, okay? So I'll give you less than a page of a text, political text, whatever it might be, whatever the topic is, and you'll read that text. Then we'll discuss it together, okay? We'll have a few minutes where you'll give your thoughts and ideas, and we'll share our ideas about it in class together. And then you'll write little short answers on the back of the page, perhaps, or a separate page, to a couple of little questions I've written that are focused on that text, okay? Nothing too difficult. So we're seeing if you can understand the text and if you can give some ideas and theories about it, and maybe use some of the things we've been discussing already in the class to help you with that. Okay, so that's what we'll do. 3 of those, each worth 5%, so that gives us 15% for those. There will be a midterm exam a little bit earlier than I would have done it normally, okay, 23rd of June. That's because for a couple of days during that week, I will be in England on a conference about plagiarism. Okay, people who produce that Turnitin database are sponsoring the conference. In fact, they do it every few years, and I'm going to give a paper at that. So I'll get a graduate assistant to come and sit in, and you'll answer a few questions about another text, a bit more complicated text for that. I'll explain about that nearer the time. We don't need to worry too much about that. Obviously, it's not very mid, it's a bit early, but it's the best way to do it so we don't waste and lose time. And then at the end, hopefully on Friday the 23rd of July, which will be our last official class, so I know I've got you all in here, we will have an end-of-term examination, okay, with questions relating to the different topics we've done, and I'll explain about that again. I'll give you a little handout about that nearer the time, and that's worth 30% of the total. So, those are the 5 elements: papers, presentation, little tests, midterm thingy, and final exam thingy. Okay, those are the ways that we will be basically, I will be able to decide how well you've done in the course. Do we have any questions about this? Do you want to say, oh, I don't want to do that, that doesn't sound very good, or something you didn't understand? Lots of people kind of avoiding my eyes, not looking at me in the eye, or whatever. Okay. Lastly, final 5% will be for attendance, okay? And since as I said on Monday, if you've already signed the piece of paper, then that means you've got a few little, I don't know, decimal points towards your 5% of that, okay? Please come to the class as often as possible. I know we're meeting for 6 hours a week, which is quite a lot. And I know it's going to get hotter and you've got other things on your mind, other courses, but what we'll be discussing in the class, I hope, will give you ideas about how to do your work, okay? So the two things should be connected. It will be a bad course if you could never come to the class and still get an A, okay, by just doing all of these things but never actually coming. Hopefully the things I say, the discussions we have, will help you. So to encourage you to come, okay, we have this 5% there, okay. And by coming you'll get those points, but I hope you'll learn something, maybe not all the time, but some of the time at least, by attending the class. Tamam, okay? Good. And lastly, it's got this flashing eyes, skull and crossbones about plagiarism. Now, the interesting thing is, since I became library director, and we've got this project at the library about plagiarism, or we're looking at the problem of plagiarism in Bill Kent, I've come to realize more and more that it's not a simple problem, okay? Perhaps many of your teachers might say, oh, you've copied this from the internet, you're a bad boy, give you an F, okay? And that's it. I don't know whether you've ever had that, any of you, or whether you might know some friends who've had that, okay? Now, for me, that's, now I realize more and more that's an extreme reaction, okay? Some students don't really realize when they plagiarize, when they copy something, that in fact they're doing something wrong, okay? So we'll talk a little bit more about how to do your own work at the end when we talk about the essays, for example. And I understand that all of you are learning English still. You're still developing your English skills. You're not native English speakers like me. And however perfect your English might be in 10 years' time when you're great Turkish businessmen or academics or whatever it you're going to become, at the moment, you're still learning. And the texts are difficult. And writing in a foreign language is difficult as well. Okay? I don't care. I don't want perfect English. If I get perfect English, I know it's not you straight away anyway. I want your English. I want your ideas and your thoughts in your words. Okay? So that's basically it. Whatever you see, whether you read it in a book or more likely you see it on the internet or something, okay, try and rewrite those things. Try and put your ideas and try and put those ideas of someone else into your words. Okay? However simple they may be, you'll still get an A if I can understand basically what you're saying. If you just copy from the internet, whether it's because you can't write or because you're doing your essay at the last minute, okay, David wants the essay submitted tomorrow and I haven't got long, so I'll just copy it from the internet or something. Well, firstly, Turnitin will spot that, okay, so there's no point in doing that. But secondly, you're not going to do yourself any benefit. Come and see me, say, David, I've run out of time, I need some help, can you help me? And we'll work something out, okay? That's very important. I give deadlines, but I'll try and be a little bit flexible, not too flexible, once I was very flexible and someone never gave an essay in at the end, so that he got a lower grade. So we have to have a little bit of pressure, but okay, we work together on this, because like I said on Monday, we all really want the same thing. I want you to pass this course, and if possible, to get a good grade. That's what you want, and that's what I want. Okay? I'm not here to make your life difficult. I'm here to help you get through those stages together. Okay? And this is one of those things as well. Okay, any questions about that? Any problems? No? Okay, let's make a start then. So that's taken us to about 11 o'clock. We've got half an hour left. Let's make a start with topic 1. And I think we can safely close the door now. Okay, please take one of these and pass it along to... give me one, because I need one to refer to. No, I'll take one and pass it on. This is the kind of bit in videoed classes that must be boring, when people are passing papers around and the guy isn't talking, because it's kind of a whatever. But well, maybe I should do a little dance or something to keep the interest of the viewers. Okay, for each topic, for every topic that we do, all of the 3 topics, I will give you a handout that looks more or less similar to what you have in front of you. That is bibliographical information, resource information on one side, with the dates, more or less, of when this topic will be running. And then on the back, it has question. Okay? It has a question or choice of 2 questions that you must try and answer. In addition, if you go to the syllabus online and click on the relevant link, hopefully David has got the right thing done, and there we go. We have a kind of online version of this. Here, in addition, for some of the texts, but not for all of them, for example, I've never been able to find an online version of Jacques Benin-Bossuet's text, but for Filmer I did, I have an online version of the text. So if you're going to be reading Filmer for your presentation or for your essay, for example, and we'll talk a bit more about choosing that in a minute, you can either use the books which are here in the library, and I'll explain how you find them shortly, or if you want to be more virtual rather than physical, then you can go to the online version here. Click on that, and it will hopefully take you to the text. Okay? The problem with these online texts is they often don't have page numbers. They might have chapters, they may not have page numbers. It's often more difficult to find what you have to read, because sometimes I don't give you the whole of the text to read. I give you little parts of the text to read, and I tell you which pages here, but they don't have the same pages there, so we have to work on that. But essentially, you've got a choice, okay? That doesn't mean you just cut and paste from Filmer's text and put it in the essay. You still have to read it and rewrite the ideas yourself, and so on. Okay, let's run through this bibliography, and we'll check the links and so on here in a minute. I'll explain a little bit more at the end about how you get hold of this material in the library, if that's the way you want to do it. And in the meantime, I want some of you to be working up the bravery, the courage to volunteer to give the presentation for this. Okay, hopefully a couple of people. Now, the class is currently 15 people. I don't know if we're going to add 1 or 2 more or lose a few before the end of the add drop thing. I don't know if that's finished yet. I haven't checked when that is exactly. But we're going to be about that number, I suspect. And we have 3 topics, and I have 4 texts for each topic. So even my elementary mathematics tells me that's 12 texts. I would prefer you to do your presentation with another person, because it's easier to work with someone else. It's a collaborative work, and then you can help each other. So in fact, sometimes we may not have a presentation by you about one of the texts, in which case I can do that. So we don't have to have names against all of these, okay? When I have 40 people in the class, which is more traditional thing for Hijab. Even in the summer school last year, I had 39 students. Then we had to put like three names. We had to get 3 people for each topic in order to make sure we had everyone doing a presentation. But this year, luckily for me, we have a smaller class, so we can manage 2 people for each text, and then maybe we don't have to have a presentation by you for all of them. Maybe just 3 presentations, plus I will talk about the 4th one myself. Something like that, okay? Right, while I'm explaining a bit more about these texts, repeating a little bit of what I said on Monday, be thinking, does this sound interesting to me? Do I want to volunteer? Remembering, it's good to do it early, because then it's out of the way. If you're doing another summer school course, which I suspect most of you are, if you're taking 2 courses in summer school to make it kind of worthwhile, soon the work might start building up. Essays, homeworks from the other teachers as well as me. So getting your presentation out of the way early might be good. Okay? That doesn't mean you all have to do this one, but we need some volunteers. Okay, in this topic, it says, we will examine some of the developments in monarchical government during the 17th and 18th centuries. And for some reason, which I don't understand, I've got capital S and capital E and C. I don't know, just to make them seem very important. 17th century is a very important thing. With special reference to the political thought of that period. So we're looking at politics, we're looking at the idea of kings primarily, and how they work and where they come from and so on, and what kings did, and what people did to kings, and then we're going to look at what people wrote about kings, what ideas they had about these people, and how they should be there or shouldn't be there, and so on. We will read the following English and French writers. Okay, and here are our 4 people. Firstly, Robert Filmer. Does anyone remember from Monday, cast your minds back all of 48 hours, what I said about Filmer? You remember anything about his ideas? Those of you who were here. Where did he think kings got their powers from? From God, okay, the idea that kings receive their political power from God. God is the ultimate power in the universe, and God gives some of his power, political power, to kings. Okay, we call that divine right theory. Sorry? Unelected. They are not chosen by the people or whatever. Okay, they are usually they are chosen because they're members of a family, but they're not elected in a democratic way. And in his case, he believes that they get their powers from, well, God gave powers to Moses, who gave powers, his power went to the other patriarchs, Adam first and Moses, and then the kings are the kind of receivers of that, inheritors of that godly power and so on. We've already checked that link, so it works, okay. Jacques Benin Bossuet, Politique tirée des propres paroles de l'Écriture sainte, and now I've just pronounced things very badly with a French accent online, so my wife will be laughing. Politics taken from the very words of Holy Scripture is what it means, something like that, okay? Holy Scripture, do you know what this means? Let me write that word up on the board. Where's my pen? Any ideas what Holy Scripture means? Scribo in Latin means to write, so it's writing, literally. Holy writing. What is this referring to especially, this English phrase? The Bible, okay. The Old and the New Testament as put together by Christians shortly a few centuries after the death of Christ and their belief and so on, okay, which they believe is the Word of God in one way or another. So he's taking his political ideas and basing it on the Bible. Okay, that's what Bossuet is doing. He was a bishop, he was a religious guy, so that's natural for him at that time. And he also believed in this divine right theory that God gave his power to kings. Actually, it's an important point to make that the ideas of these 2 people reflect the most common beliefs in, say, the 17th century. Most people believed that kings were somehow chosen, got their powers from God. Okay? These strange ideas we have about electing our political officers or whatever are more recent things in that sense. So most people, if they thought about politics at all, would have said, well, the king must get his power from God. Obviously, I believe in God and God gives his power and so on. And if this were, however, a philosophy course, if it was a course focusing on philosophy and modern ideas, then we wouldn't even mention some of these things because they're not important today, but that you would be looking at these two guys, Hobbes and Locke and others, because their ideas were later on became more important. Okay? But at the time when Filmer or Bossuet were living, most people believed in the divine right theory. So we have to look at that, because this is a history course, we have to look at what was actually going on. Hobbes and Locke are second to. They don't have the divine right theory. They believe, or in different ways, in something which we now call contract theory. That there is an agreement, a contract between some people. It may involve the king, it may not involve the king making the agreement. And this contract is the thing which creates political power. Okay? An agreement gives, people give over their political rights to someone else through an agreement. They agree to give someone power. Okay? And this is this idea which had emerged earlier on, a little bit earlier in Europe, but most famously Hobbes and Locke and Rousseau in the next century are the ones who write about this contract theory. Okay, so those are our four texts. I'll now say a little bit about how you can get hold of the material. Let's just check Hobbes and Locke links first. They were working last week, so they should be working still. Okay, there is Hobbes. You can navigate from there. And what happened? Here, slightly more slowly, is Locke, and we've got the chapters up there. Okay? And realizing the problem, I put the chapters there, so you can choose the chapters in that sense, and the same for that one there. Okay. As you can see, I've got something which I've called text, which is just the name of our text that we'll be looking at. I've then got something called selection for reading, which has the name of an author, the year of the publication, and then some page numbers. And then I've got something called historical background. You've got that for each of these. Okay? The name of the text is just to tell us what text we're looking at. These two are important now. Okay? Firstly, selection for reading. This says which parts of that text you have to read. Okay? Whether it's the page numbers in the book or the chapters that it's divided up to, depending on how I've been able to find it out. You can read the whole thing. You can read the whole of Thomas Hobbes's Leviathan, but it's a very thick book. I'll bring my copy along later on. So I thought that we may as well reduce the amount you're reading to important chapters, selected chapters. Okay? If we've got a short text, one that's only 25 pages or something, then I might say read the whole thing. But when we've got a thick book, we'll have selections, parts that you have to read. Okay? So let's take Bossuet here, and let's compare what we've got here with what we've got there. Okay, text is the same. Selection for reading. Riley, 1990, pages 39 to 95. Okay? And then, if we go to the bottom here, or if you look at the bottom where it says bibliography on your handout, you will see it says Riley in capitals, then it's got a full reference to the book. Okay? Jacques-Méline Bossuet, Politics Drawn from the Very Words of Holy Scripture, we were saying before, 1990. So that's the book. Okay? Brief information at the top, go down to the bottom, and here is the book. And I've given you the call number, okay? The number that sits on library books on the spine here that tells us where we should put it on the shelves and so on. All of these books are in the reserve section of the library. Anyone doesn't know the reserve section? Anyone never been to talk to Enver or Levent working in reserve? No? So you all know reserve section, okay? You go there, you show them, in this case, you show them the call number, and you say, I want that book. They'll look on the shelves behind, they'll find the number, they'll give you the book. Okay? You take it upstairs, and you go to the photocopy room, and then you photocopy that part of the book, okay? Which I hope doesn't break copyright now I think about it. It's not too long. So that's the deal there, okay? Get the book, photocopy those parts, and then you can take away and read them. Any questions? That's all clear? For historical background, for this topic and the next topic, historical background means this textbook, which we've been using for years. This is a slightly older edition. We have a number of different editions, again, in the reserve part of the library, okay? And it's the book which is referred to on the second page of the syllabus, okay? Again, you go to reserve section. Now, in this case, you don't have to give a call number or anything. You just have to say, I want Hijiv textbook, Kishlansky, Geary and O'Brien. Remember, it's volume 2. Ikinji Jilt, okay? And then I've given you the chapter that you need to consult for that. So that's quite straightforward. You take that upstairs, you read it or photocopy or take notes from that particular chapter, okay? You don't have to use all of the chapter. Not every single sentence, not every single paragraph in the chapter will be relevant. You have to read carefully and decide which bits will be helpful for your essay. Okay, that's very important as well. So that's getting a hold of your resources, getting a hold of your material. You can do other things as well. You can find other books in the library. You can look on the internet for other useful sites that will tell you about Filmer or Bosway or Hobbes or whatever. As long as you tell me at the end of your essay with a bibliography what things you've used, okay? Because some of them will be good, some of them may not be so good. You have to be careful. These are all good, okay? Textbook is okay, and these are the texts, either online version or the printed ones here. Other things, make sure you record what they are, and then you can write them in your essay so I can see where you've got your ideas from. Make sure I can see you've understood them correctly and so on. Any questions? No? Okay, turn over. Now we don't have, for some reason, I'm not really sure why, when I put these bibliographies together, I didn't do the questions online. So this is only on print. So if you lose this, you really do have to email me and say, David, I don't know the questions. And then I'll send you, I'll run from the library perhaps to my history office and find the questions and send them to you. Or maybe I should send this to myself. So if anyone emails me while I'm in the library, I can just forward the questions. Okay. So here we've got 2 questions at the bottom, and I'll come to those in a minute. Okay. These are the questions. Your essay is about answering a question. And again, after the break, we'll look at essays and how you do that. Okay. First at the top, however, topic 1. You will write 2, there's a mistake in here, haha, sorry folks. You will write 2 essays for this course from the 3 topics. Okay, we've said that already. You must all write the essay for topic 1. Okay, you must do this one. You must all write the essay. You don't have a choice in this case. Each one of you, and the people who are not here, the 6 people, whoever it is who are not here at the moment, will all be giving me an essay in a few weeks' time, answering one of these questions and choosing one of these texts. Not all of these texts, just one. Okay, I'll explain again that in a minute. That means for topics 2 and 3, you have a choice. If you're interested in economics, if you're an econ student and you want to write about Adam Smith, or you really think the Industrial Revolution is interesting, you write that essay. If you're a politics student and you've got exams or something in your other course at the time of topic 2, then you can say, okay, I'll do topic 3. I'll do the monotheism essay at the end. Okay, so those are the choices that you make between topic 2 and topic 3. The essay for topic 1, here is the mistake because I haven't updated this, must be submitted to turnitin.com, and I'll explain more about turnitin.com on Friday when hopefully we will have the final list of students and I can put you all on their database. It says must be submitted by Thursday the 25th of June 2009 at the latest. So you're all late. You're all 12 months late with that. Now this is from, obviously I didn't change the date from last year. So let me think quite carefully. The topic will finish on the 21st of June. Then you will have 23rd of June, you will have the midterm exam with the graduate student in here. I will be coming back from England, as long as that volcano doesn't cause trouble, on the 24th. I will be here on the 25th. So, and we'll begin topic 2 on that day. So let's say that the official deadline is Friday, 25. So Friday, 25 June 2010. Friday, 25th of June 2010. Okay, that's when I would like you to give me your essay, or I would like you to give me a good excuse. Let's put it that way. Okay. Now, the only problem we have is that as a human being, I can be flexible. As a computer database, Turnitin is less flexible. If I say on that, 25 is the submission deadline for those essays, if you try and submit it on the 26th, blah, 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 it'll say can't do or something like that. So we need to work on that. I may need to get your essay and submit it myself and so on. Okay, I'll work on that, and we'll talk about that on Friday when we start looking at Turnitin. Okay, so Friday, 25 June, which is about 3 weeks away. Okay, so you need to start thinking now. For this essay, you must do 3 things. Read and analyze the particular text. It says for your group. Just read and analyze the text you've chosen. Okay. We've got 4 texts here: Filmer, Bosway, Hobbes, and Locke. You will answer the question using one of these texts. Okay. And if you volunteer for the presentation, if you choose to do Filmer in next week for the presentation, then you can write your essay on Filmer. You don't have to read a different text. Okay. So it's not doubling up any work. Okay. 1 presentation text, and then in this case 1 essay text. If you want to read all the others, if you've got lots of spare time, that's fair enough, but you're required to read 1, try and understand it, come and see me, write your essay using 1 text. Secondly, research the historical background to the text. Okay? Remember what we were saying, some of you missed this because you were not here on Monday, so let's just repeat ourselves. My little simplistic formula carries on. Okay. What we're saying in a simple way here is that events in history, things that happen to people in the past, the way that we organize our lives together or whatever, things that we do in the past, did in the past, those things will have an effect on people's ideas. Okay? We live in a society, things happen around us, okay, like the Gaza flotilla or something, and then that makes us angry or whatever it might be, and that affects our ideas. We have ideas about that. And then some people write those ideas down, and they become these books. Then someone else sits down and reads that book, and he or she says, oh, that's great, I'm going to do this because of that. I'm going to have a revolution, or I'm going to change things, or whatever it is. So ideas influence historical things, events, societies, whatever, and those events and societies affect ideas, and so on, ad infinitum, perhaps. Okay, now it's a kind of simplistic thing, but that's the basic idea that I'm looking at here. So many of the essay questions, many of your exam questions will be asking you to explain the ideas and then look at where they come from, or look at what they did, what those ideas did. Okay, see if we can see this dynamic going on. So the historical background is not just, oh, David wants us to say 1 page about 17th century kings because we need to have a historical background bit here. Okay, it's important for the question and for this formula that I've given here. Okay, and you need to use it and fit it together and make it work with the ideas in some way. And we'll try and see if we can get some of those ideas going in the next few weeks. I'll try and show you what we're hopefully trying to do here. So historical background is important as well. That you put these 2 things together, ideas from the text, historical stuff, put 1 and 2 together by answering one of the questions below. Okay, you can choose again. Choose one text and choose one question. Okay, you have a choice. Because I'm a democratic kind of guy, and so I'll leave you a little bit of a choice about things or whatever. Any essay, it says, which does not at least attempt to do these three things will not be able to get a high grade. Okay, I'll be looking for these things. I'll be looking for ideas and text, historical background, and some kind of an answer to my question. If you want to get A minus, B plus, we need all of those things in there in some way. Most importantly, as I said before, I want you in those questions, not physically your blood, but I want your ideas. I want to see your thoughts in the answers, in the essays. If you have any problems whatsoever, well, maybe not whatsoever. I mean, if you can't have time, the answer is not relevant. But any problems relating to the essay in particular, whether it's understanding, whether it's time or something like that, please don't hesitate to contact me, okay? It's my job to help. I said that before. We're all working together for good grades, for good essays, so let's do it together. Okay? Tamam. Questions. Here is it. Choose one of the following questions. Do you think that the theories of kingship in early modern Europe accurately reflected the nature of royal power during that period? Let's read that one again. Do you think, therefore, in your opinion, that the theories of kingship, the political ideas, one of these guys, you're not going to talk about all of them, you can mention them all briefly, but you'll focus on one text, in early modern Europe, accurately reflected the nature of royal power during that period? Now, is this question, is it an ideas to history one, or is it a history to ideas question? Let's find that one out at the start. That'll help us have an understanding. Is my question here asking you to say, are ideas affecting history, or is it saying, is history affecting ideas? Try again. We didn't hear that. Try again. It's the other one. History affecting ideas. It's saying there was royal power in that period. Okay, there was royal power, and that's this bit. Men who called themselves kings, queens, sultans, whatever, had royal power. And it's saying, did the ideas of kingship, did the writings of Hobbes or Filmer or whatever it is, did they reflect, okay, the nature of that power? So here is the texts. Here, this is the, what are we saying here, theories. Okay, so do they reflect that in some ways? Okay, does this stuff come up in here? So that's what this one is doing. So this is a history to ideas question. I didn't check these questions this morning again. I can't remember exactly what they are. So let's look at the second one and see what we can say about that. In what ways did European thinkers of the 17th century explain the origins and nature of political authority? Okay, origins means what? Roots, where something comes from. Okay, where does political power come from? And nature means what's it like. Okay, does the king have lots of power, no power, things like that? Because these guys have different answers to those questions. So that's just telling us about their ideas. Then it says, what were the effects, if any, of these explanations? So which kind of question is this one? Is this a history to ideas, or is this an ideas to history? You're looking eager? This is ideas to history, okay? What were the effects, if any, maybe there were no effects, of these explanations? So explanation is here, okay, which means origins and nature of authority. And what were the effects of these, if any, okay? And that can be on events, it can be on other ideas, whatever it is, but it's going this way. We start with the ideas and we see what their effects were. So these are two different kind of questions. The first one is looking at royal power as it was, what these kings really did. The second one is saying, start with the ideas and then show how it may or may not have affected other things, if you think it did, okay? And you choose one of these questions and you use one of these texts and you use, in most cases, the material from chapter 16 of this book and anything else you can find to help you answer the one question. Is that clear? Tamamba? Please, 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 if there's something not clear and you're too shy to say it now because you're thinking, oh, everyone else understands and I'm stupid or something, it's not the case, okay? You can send me a mail, you can speak to me in the break, anything. We need to make sure you understand. Because, I'll finish with this point, there is this strange person, being in Bill Kent, known as my friend. Okay? I've never met my friend, but my friend has contacted many of my students in the past. And usually my friend is a source of misinformation, wrong information. Oh, I'm sorry, my friend said the exam was last week. No, it was this week. My friend took my essay and put it under your door. Well, it wasn't under my door when I came to my office this morning, okay? Never trust my friend, which means in this case the people around you, okay? Oh, I didn't really understand what David said because he was talking quickly. He's got that funny English accent or something. But my friend said we give the essay then. My friend said we do 2 texts. Okay, my friend said we don't have to do historical background. Anything you don't understand, ignore my friend, okay? I'm the only friend you've got at the moment. Okay, let's have a break, and then we shall actually do some history for about 20 minutes or so. Unless you've got any questions, you can ask me during the break.